On your feet! Get them going!
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever the case may be. Hold on, I gotta adjust my image here. Welcome to Cross-Examinations. Hold on, I'm trying to get... I'm all over the place. All right, this is me up. Welcome to Cross-Examinations. I'm your host, Mike S. Miller. I guess that'll do. Not a pastor, priest, rabbi, scholar, or anything of terrible import. I'm just a comic book artist who comes on the internet and tells you why you're wrong about stuff. Just kidding. Boy, I posted. I really feel like critical thinking is a severe rarity in the modern human race. On my nose right there. What the heck? Oh. Guess it was a zit. Ew, gross. I should have looked at myself in the mirror before I came on here. Anyways, yes, I'm just a young teenager getting pimples. How's everybody doing? Tina, Ryder, King Bob, Amy Lester, hello, hi. Me, oh, my, everybody's rolling in bright and early because I started on time today, or some reasonable facsimile thereof. And yeah, how's everybody doing? Hope you are all having a wonderful, blessed day. As I'm nothing but critical, I must be good then. It's funny, I was just watching an Alex O'Connor video he did yesterday on that podcast with those comedians. I don't remember, what's it called? Flagrant? The Flagrant podcast? You know, with, I don't know these guys' names. It's a group of comedians, I guess, and he's on there, and I was trying to see if there's anything he's going to say that was interesting and worth talking about. So far, not really. But where was I going with that? Oh, one other thing he was positing. I know I didn't even put Alex O'Connor on the thing, and I'm talking about him anyways. Was how he likes to test people's presuppositions about why they think what they think, which was hilarious because literally that's what I was doing yesterday on Twitter with a guy regarding the slavery topic, of course, because I said he's like, why are you saying this? I'm like, because I'm testing your presuppositions, which is, I think, exactly what Alex O'Connor. I would love to have like dinner with Alex O'Connor and discuss things. One thing he said that I found to be inaccurate was that all of our disagreements, or at least the majority of our disagreements, are a matter of definitions. The matter of definitions. Like if we, basically saying if we could, this is not what he's saying, but what I'm saying, if we could telepathically understand exactly what we meant by every word we were saying, we would almost always agree on everything. And I'm like, no. I don't think that's the case, because you have some people who think that the world is billions of years old. You have some people think that the world is thousands of years old. There's no telepathic disconnect there. Billions and thousands are not a misunderstanding of a length of time. Right? And so it reminds me of something I just sent to my kids. I just saw this on, I can't remember what this guy's name is. Kent Hovind. I always love the information this guy has because he like collects it on all this things. And so I see him once in a while on my Instagram feed. And this is an example of one of those things. Present. Share screen. Entire screen. This is an example of one of those things where you can't just disagree on a definition here. Let's just play this. And it's muted. All right.
The guide said, don't touch the formations. They take millions of years to form. They all have the same story, right? You go to Carlsbad, they'll say, yep, it took 250 million years to these formations in here. They say tiny drops of water slowly build these formations. One guy said it takes 1,000 years to grow from 1/10 of a centimeter to 10 centimeters, up to 2.5 inches. Maximum be 2.5 inches per 1,000 years. Well, I don't think so. Here are some 50-inch long stalactites growing under the Lincoln Memorial, built 1922. Here's a bat covered up with flowstone before it could rot. It doesn't take millions of years for that stuff to form. Here's 2-inch stalactites growing off a refrigeration shed in Pensacola, Florida. There's a building in Indiana. It's only 40 years old. The basement is full of huge flowstone formations in 40 years from water dripping through the limestone. There's a mine in Australia that was closed down for 55 years. When they opened it up to just check to see how it's doing, there were huge cave formations that formed in 55 years. There are 2 people inside that circle to give you an idea how big this is. There's a pipe that was dripping water up at Herbert Field near Pensacola at Eglin Air Force Base. Made a 13-inch stalactite in 7 years. Underneath on the ground was a stalagmite. Everybody kept tripping on it, and so they broke it off and gave it to me. It's in my museum. Stalagmite formed in 7 years. Here's a parking garage in Texas. Brand new parking garage, built in 1997. It was making stalagmites on students' cars parking under it. So they put up a drip pan to catch the water. A guy in Wyoming had a hot mineral spring on his property in Thermopolis, Wyoming. And so he stuck a pipe in the ground back in 1903. The water came out the top of the pipe, ran down the sides. They called it the teepee fountain, kind of a natural fountain. Everybody thought, wow, that's cute. He's got a fountain in his yard. Well, slowly over the years, the water, as it ran down the side of the pipe, evaporated, some of it, leaving behind mineral deposits. How many have seen those mineral deposits in your sink, okay? Well, the guy died, and they left the pipe sticking in the yard. It's now been there for 100 years. Here it is, about 6 years ago. That would take some lime away to scrub that clean, don't you think? Sure would. It does not take millions of years to form those things. That's 100 years worth. The guy down the street started one later. It's not quite as big. But folks, it doesn't take a long time. How many of you have ever gone into a cave and the guide said, don't...
I sent that to you on Instagram. Yeah, so like I said, there's no definitional miscommunication here. These things don't take that long to grow. Corpse Scanner says, my favorite Kent clip is when Ali G accused him of leaving a turd in the toilet. I don't know what you're talking about, but that doesn't discredit everything he's showing. He has a lot of great stuff. And I just see his clips. I just see his clips on Instagram once in a while roll by, and I'm like, the dude collected so much good evidence and arguments. Of Corpse Grinder, you're not going to like him because he discredits a lot of the stuff that you believe in. And then because you're stuck in your preconceptions. And we're really talking about preconceptions. Sorry, brain fart. I wonder if it has anything. What are you talking about? Mike started on time today for my birthday. Oh, happy birthday, Tina. Happy birthday to Tina. She's 21 again. Kent is a fraud, accused wife beater, and not a doctor. Oh, so that makes everything that he just said pretend, right? That's what they try to do. They try to discredit people who discredit your thought. He is perfect for you, though. I'm sure you will love his nonsense. You know, Dr. Martin Luther King was an adulterer. Do you know that? Martin Luther King Jr.? Does that discredit what he said? See, that's what you try to do. That's what the left does to people they disagree with. They just discredit them. Sure was. Yep. So was JFK. Did that discredit the stuff that he did? Because you may have personal problems does not make your work invalid. So that's just a personal attack, Corpse Grinder. That doesn't aid your help. That doesn't aid your argument at all. Why is I'm getting this blurry line right here? It's really annoying. So is Trump. And yet he is the best president ever. And so was Clinton. I'll be honest with you. I think Bill Clinton was probably the best Democratic president we've had for a long time. But it was because he had no spine and he did whatever the polls told him to do. So, for that reason, what you want out of a Democratic leader is spinelessness and a willingness to do what the people tell you to do. He wanted to be popular. I guess he was a bit of a populist in that sense, wasn't he? He just wanted to be popular, and that's the kind of Democratic president you want. You don't want the ideologues like, Barack Hussein Obama and Hillary Clinton. Hillary, obviously, thank God, wasn't president. Thank God, literally wasn't president. I can't really speak to Joe Biden because I don't know who was actually running the country when he was there. So, yeah. Well, then why, and many, many others, then why are you trying to use that to discredit his work? May I ask? Why was that your go-to? Oh, why would you believe that guy? There's accusations that he beat his wife. It's kind of a silly argument. Speaking of MLK, I watched a couple of employees at my last job almost come to punches because someone said he was a Republican, which he was. Was he? I don't even. I've heard that too, but I don't remember. I mean, most blacks were Republicans prior to welfare. Kent buying his doctorate from a diploma mill and claiming to be a doctor for status is the big one. Is that true? Where are you hearing this? Let's go look it up on Grok. Did Kent Hovind get a real doctorate? Kent Hovind received a doctorate in Christian education from Patriot University, now Patriot Bible University, in 1991. However, Patriot University is an unaccredited institution, often described as a diploma mill due to its low academic standards and lack of recognition by the U.S. Department of Education or other accrediting bodies. Hovind's dissertation, which surfaced publicly via WikiLeaks in 2009, has been widely criticized for its lack of scholarly rigor, poor writing, and absence of original research, with a readability level comparable to that of a middle school student. While Hovind legally holds a PhD from Patriot University, it is not considered a real doctorate in the academic sense because of the institution's lack of accreditation and the substandard quality of the dissertation. He has used the title doctor extensively, which has drawn criticism from academics who argue it misrepresents his credentials, especially since his degree is in Christian education, not a scientific field, despite his focus on creationism and science-related topics. Oh, I don't care. It's a trailer, not a school. Okay, is that your claim? What is Patriot University? What is Patriot University? A private, unaccredited Christian institution based in Del Norte, Colorado. Primarily offers distance learning programs focused on religious education, such as degrees in Christian education, theology, and biblical studies. Founded in 1979, it has been criticized as a diploma mill due to its minimal academic requirements. Okay, I already heard all that stuff. Well, I for one don't really particularly care about accreditation and the gatekeeping of higher education, so I don't care. They did go after Kent Hovind for federal tax violations. That makes him a hero in my book, Tina. You're barking up the wrong tree if you're trying to tear them down for that. We don't care about frauds. We know. Well, it's not a fraud just because you don't like the school from which he got his diploma. People called themselves doctors long before there were universities. Did you know that, Grinder? Read his paper. I don't need to read his paper. Nothing you're saying is discrediting the evidence that he just literally showed. See, that's what you're doing. You're trying to discredit the evidence by attacking the presenter of the evidence. Why don't you deal with the evidence? Huh? Do you still, in your little brain, sorry, I shouldn't say that. Do you still believe stalactites and stalagmites take millions of years to form? Is that still something you think is real? What evidence? Oh my gosh, did you not watch the video? I'm going to play the video again without... I'm not going to play the video again. The stalactites, the stalagmites that formed in decades. Yes, naturally. It's the dripping of water, dude. It's all natural. There's no water with minerals in it dripping. That's any way you shape that. That is a natural circumstance and the formation of stalactites and stalagmites. We can speed up the process. It's all a matter of how much the water drips. Sure, you can speed it up by having more water. You can slow it down by having less water. Okay, see, this is what I'm saying about Alex O'Connor when he says that you can... am I like roboting? Is this like... Am I moving like in a slow motion kind of a thing? Because it's what's showing up on my screen. It's kind of driving me nuts. Him saying that if we all just understood implicitly the definitions of the words we were all speaking to each other, we would usually just agree on everything. I don't think that's the case. Obviously, Corpse Grinder, no, is not an argument. All right, let's see what we were doing over there in Discord land. What was his name? Bible Mind Control in the Discord. What was his name on here? Because he was making some just terrible arguments in the Discord. Oh, I cannot read this whole thing. I'm gonna try to come up with a way to sum this up. He was trying to argue that the Jews were actually Canaanites. Oh, okay. Thank you. Thanks, guys. It wasn't an argument. It was an answer to the question you asked. I know, but remember how like I asked a question and then it takes 14 seconds and then I forget what I was talking about. To be honest, you're on my cheap, crappy monitor, so you always look pretty crappy to me. Thank you. My son yesterday, my special needs son, so obviously it's him that's going to say this, pointed out that I have he said he has a skinny belly and that I have a big belly. And all my other sons were laughing. And I'm like, you know, the kids at camp thought I was pretty cool. The kids at camp were calling me like, you're him, Mike, you're him. Which in modern kid vernacular, that means like, you're the man, Mike, you're the man. And they're saying I had aura, which is another modern thing for apparently saying I'm cool or something like that. You've got aura. Aura's the new thing. I'm sure there's going to be a meme coin called aura soon. But Mike, I never get any compliments at home. I just get insults because Out of the mouths. That's what my wife said. But what does Jesus say? A prophet is not without honor except for in his own home. Like you're the goat. Yeah, it's the new you're the goat. It's you're him. You're him, bro. You're him. No kid has ever sucked up to the authority figure. Hey, you roast the ones you love. True. It's all true, but yeah, he was trying to make this ridiculous argument that the Jews were descendants of the Canaanites. And he was trying to do it with all this just posting dates of Canaanites and dates of blah blah blah. And I'm like, literally nothing you're saying here. This was based off yesterday. Remember when we went through and we showed that the Sumerian tablet or whatever the tablet was, it was like written about Yahweh, the god of Samaria, and Ashtaroth, his consort, whatever it was. It was like, yeah, that was written in Samaria, which was part of the northern kingdom of Israel, which was the kingdom that went after other gods. So this archaeological evidence supports the biblical narrative. Thank you. Have a nice day. And then he was like going on, no, Sumerians. I'm like, it doesn't say Sumerians. That was not what that stele said. It was Sumerians, which was that date, proving the Bible to be true. So anyways, then he goes into the Discord and he just argues all day long that the Jews, the Israelites were sprouted up from the Canaanites. It's like because the language is modern Hebrew is closer to Canaanite language. And I'm like, okay, does that make sense? Where did Abraham live for most of his life? Oh, in Canaan. You think Abraham had to learn the Canaanite Semitic language in order to do business? Because the only other dude he brought with him, well, I'm sure he brought servants, but the only other person of ownership standing, I don't even know how to say it, that brought his own servants was Lot, his nephew. So he brought Lot and Canaan. Yeah, I'm sure they spoke Akkadian to each other, which is probably the language they spoke in Ur before they left. But they lived in Canaan for decades and decades. I don't even know how long. Let's look up how long did Abraham live in Canaan. How long did Abraham live in the land of Canaan? Excuse me. Abraham lived in the land of Canaan for 100 years. Okay. So here's the thing. If you live in a country, say for 100 years, chances are pretty good you're going to learn the language in that country. Chances are pretty good that your children are going to speak that language, and their grandchildren, and their grandchildren. So is Hebrew a derivative of ancient Canaanite Semitic language? Works with the narrative in the Bible. Works 100% with the narrative in the Bible. So yes, they had their language. By the time they got to Egypt, they had their own language and they had Egyptian, right? They probably had to speak Egyptian too. Have you been drinking, Mike? Just coffee. Shooby dippy. Are you still? Let's see what Corpse Trainer is saying. I'm trying to talk about something else, Corpse Trainer. But I think what Alex means is the lack of use of vocabulary, like how we use evolution to talk about life diversity, but also evolution of planets. The lazy wording gets people mixed up. The lazy wording gets people mixed up. Now I understand what he says. I mean, in a lot, it's a lot of circumstances. I'm not going to say it's, but he said it was like we'd almost never argue. I'm like, I don't know who you hang out with, but it is true that a lot of arguments come down to vocabulary. Like, what you mean by a word may not be what I'm implying by that word. So I'm not saying he's 100% wrong. Certainly not. I'm just saying that there's a lot of stuff that people are just diametrically opposed to. No matter how you massage the language, it's not going to come to an agreement. Kent is easily confused by common usage, technical usage. He constantly puts all uses of evolution in the box with evolution of life. Well, I think evolution tends to be a trigger word for like I mean, that's why usually creationists make the distinction between microevolution and macroevolution. I don't like the term microevolution because I think variation, what would you call it? It's just genetic variation. It's not like the creature becomes something else, and that's the dividing line. Micro, it's like changes within a species. Macro, changes from species to species. Macro doesn't happen. Micro does happen. We have people here that don't know the language. That isn't a guarantee. Okay. Good morning, Tanner. I'm just kidding, Mike. All the burping and hiccup. I'm sorry. I don't even pay attention. I don't even notice when I burp and hiccup. So I'm so uncouth. Adaptation. There you go. That's the word. See, this is what evolutionists try to do. They try to say microevolution is still evolution. No, it's not. It's adaptation. Adaptation is real. Microevolution is not. See, here's the thing. Evolution requires mutation. Microevolution is not mutation. It is adaptation within the genetic code of the existing species. You can breed out that adaptation to the point where it is no longer possible for a poodle, a breed of curly white-haired poodles, to produce a straight black-haired dog. You can breed out variation. You cannot create new variation. That's mutation. Semantics. Yeah, that's the general argument. Yeah. Good morning, good day, or good night, y'all. Good evening. So yeah, the argument in the Discord just went on and on and on, and I thought it was fun, but this guy would not. It could not sink in. He was so stuck on his point of view, he couldn't comprehend how he wasn't making an argument that made any sense, because everything that he was saying was confirming the biblical narrative. And on top of that, archaeology has confirmed the biblical narrative countless hundreds of thousands of times, I would guess, at this point. They say 25,000 times, but they find so much stuff that they don't even catalog most of it anymore. They find so much archaeological evidence. It's like, obviously you might have duplicates of some of it, but there's so much. There is, Corpse Grinder. They say there's 25,000, but I mean, at the rate they find stuff, I was just looked it up the other day. At the rate they find stuff today, 25,000 pieces would fly by. They would just fly by. I think perhaps they mean 25,000 notable pieces, like things that are like new confirmations, but repeat confirmations, like say a coin with David's inscription on it, right? Something like that. they might find 50 of them. They might find hundreds of them. Each of those count as a confirmation, but they would only count the first one as new, right? Yeah, sorry, Corpsman, it's true. You can look this stuff up and you can see how much they find. They find 12 to 15, like every year. They find 12 to 15 what they consider major discoveries that confirm the Bible as through archaeology. So literally, the biblical historic narrative is extraordinarily trustworthy. And because of that, you really should, if you are an objective person and not someone who didn't want to believe the Bible because you don't want to believe in God, just looking at the Bible as the historical narrative, even removing the miraculous if you want to, you would objectively give it the benefit of the doubt where the archaeology is silent. But you won't because of fifis. That's not an objective, a realistic objective thing. So sure, not everything in the Bible is going to be confirmed by archaeology, but so much of it is, and constantly is, every day in archaeology. Every single day, they make about a dozen. So like on average, every 2 hours, they discover something that confirms the Bible. That's how regular it is. They find like 12 on average, 12 pieces a day of archaeological evidence that supports the Bible's narratives. But no, I don't want to believe the Bible. I want to assume anything that isn't corroborated already is fictional. That is not rational. That is certainly not objective. And any scholar who thinks like that should has less value in their PhD than Kent Hovind. And they should be stripped of their academic qualifications, whatever they are, if they think like that, because that's just purely an emotional argument. All right. What else we got? We're half an hour in. Nobody's arguing. Come on, Corpse Grinder, give me something to argue. I think I've finished with yesterday's. Yeah, it's just he keeps bringing up what words. His big argument was that the word El was it's the name of the high god in Canaanite pantheon, El. And so obviously the Israelites took that from the Canaanites, right? This is his argument, right? But you go back and you look it up. El is a Proto-Semitic word, which means it was the word for God prior to the Semitic language. And as it was the word in Proto-Semitic, all of the Semitic languages from all around the Levant and all around the Middle East, all those different cultures, they all used El as the generic word for God because they're Semitic languages. And that was the base of, and again, the generic word, not like the proper name. So in Canaan, the proper name for their high god was El, which they got from all the Semitic languages. The proper name in Hebrew is the Tetragrammaton, YHWH, Yahweh. It's not El. El is the generic name, just like it is in all the other Semitic languages. So his arguments are just very, very bad, illogical, unreasonable. Talk more about how much you like Kent. It says more than you know. I mean, I'm not going to bash the guy. I just see his videos on YouTube, and he's presenting great arguments. And again, base the argument on the argument, not on how much you like the guy. Okay, Corpse Grinder? Jeff Potts. Argument? Okay, I say Gary Shipman should be on every D&Q straw poll. That's not an argument. That's a statement of opinion. Mike, you haven't given everybody enough time to show up late to the stream yet. I mean, I know this is what happens when I start on time. Then the people who show up, usually if I start on time, people show up in the last 5 minutes. So if I start a half an hour late, they show up at the half an hour point. I don't get it. Lesso? What is that? We could read a Bible chapter if no one wants to argue today. That's true. Do you have one in mind? I completely forgot it was Wednesday last night. I missed D&Q. Oh, you want to see my... I did, and I finished this on Whatnot. Supergirl. Ba, ba, ba. Look how cute she is. Da, 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 da. That was my Supergirl from last night's Drawn and Quartered. Dogs come from dogs. Kent's great argument. Do you have an argument against it? If you base the argument on the argument instead of the character of the person, it makes it extremely difficult to use genetic fallacy. You're kind of strong-arming the atheist, Mike. Sorry. Gary drew one of my characters on Whatnot last night. Yes, I know. You kept telling us that, Jeff. Psalm 137, 7 through 9. Let's go to... Why is this taking time? Now do Psalm 137, 7 to 9. Is that what you said? 137, 7 to 9? Yes. All right. Let's see what Grok does with it. Did you finish your Supergirl? She was looking great when I saw her last. Did you not just see dogs came from wolves is one. Wolves are dogs. There you go, Amy. There she is. Jeff Potts complaining that we did not draw his character. All right. Grok. Wait, what? What just happened here? Psalm 137, 7 to 9, translating it with deepest meaning. Remember, O Lord, against Edom's children, the day of Jerusalem, how they cried, raise it to its foundations. Their voices a clamor for our sacred city's ruin. O daughter of Babylon, doomed to destruction, blessed is he who repays you for what you did to us, your deeds a debt calling for divine retribution. Blessed is he who seizes your infants and dashes them against the rock. Your cruelty answered, your legacy broken by the hand of God's righteous wrath. I know. She looks like she just dropped the mic. What? Whoever confesses that Jesus is the Son of God, God abides in him and he in God. Yeah, I can't remember what the context. What is the context of that passage? You're not the first person to bring that up. I just forgot what the context of it was. And we have known and believed that. And we have known and believed that the love of God has for us. God is love, and he who abides in love abides in God, and God in him. You don't give blessings to the one who dashes babies on rocks. Well, I mean, it's not just like, oh, everyone should dash babies on rocks, right? You understand the why is it bringing up unicorns? Psalm 137 is a lament composed during or shortly after Babylonian exile, when Judah's elite were deported to Babylon following Nebuchadnezzar's destruction of Jerusalem. Verses 7 to 9 reflect the exile's anguish, likely set in Babylon. The psalm captures their grief over Jerusalem's fall, the temple's destruction, and their displacement. Edom is implicated for aiding or encouraging Babylon's conquest, and Babylon is the oppressor. The harsh imprecation in verse 9 mirrors the brutal warfare practices of the time, expressing raw vengeance for atrocities like those described in Lamentations 4:10. Psalm 137 is a communal lament structured in 3 parts. Verses 1 through 4, the exiles mourn Babylon's rivers, unable to sing Zion's song, their harps hung in despair. By the way, that's how far back Zionism goes. Zionism is just the return to Israel. They were doing it in Babylon. Verses 5 to 6, a vow to remember Jerusalem, prioritizing its memory over personal joy. Verses 7 to 9, a cry for divine justice against Edom and Babylon, culminating in a shocking curse, dashing infants. The imprecation shifts from lament to retribution, invoking God's judgment against enemies. Theological context. The deepest meaning lies in the tension between human grief and divine righteousness. The exile's cry for remembrance and repayment trusts God's mishpat to avenge Jerusalem's ruin, reflecting steadfast love that upholds the covenant. The harshest of verse 9 expresses raw human emotion, not divine endorsement, pointing to God's ultimate mercy. This connects to Job's. Wait, why is this connects to Eliezer's faith? Eliezer's erga aligns with the exile's trust in God's mishpat. I don't know what these words mean. Luke's charis fulfills chest, redeeming exile. I don't want to look up all these words. The implication of verse 9 reflects ancient Near Eastern rhetoric, where such curses were common. It voices the exile's trauma, not a call to literal violence, trusting God's zedek to balance chesed and mishpat. Oh my gosh, why do they use these words? Plain text for text file. Okay, so that's your explanation. Baby enemies. Did you not understand? Do I have to read that again, Corpse Grinder? Daughter Babylon is probably a metaphor for the nation of Babylon. Her children are probably a metaphor for some aspect of her rule. Then, as now, Israelis weren't into the concept of turning the other cheek. Hey, look, Bible says dash babies' heads on rock. God bad. Yeah, cherry picking verses is fun though, isn't it? Isn't it? Context, right? Yeah, everything in context. Every single thing you bring up in scripture has a context. You can't not read something in its context. Every word in context of its sentence, every sentence in context of its phrase, every phrase in context of its chapter, every chapter in context of its book, every book in context of the whole. There is always context that you have to read and understand. Read it again. Oh my gosh. How about you just rewind? I just read like 2 pages of stuff. It's not a very good it's not a one-off. Are you saying one-off? It is a prayer of lament. It is not an like in Islam, you're ordered to go around and just kill all the Jews. Right? This is a prayer of lament in a time of lamentation against a particular enemy who, frankly, Edom should have been on the side of Edom. For those who don't know, Edom is the descendants of Esau. So they're literally cousins to the Israelites. But they ended up being enemies. So the I don't know if you'd call it betrayal. Is it betrayal? The Edomites turning on the Israelites, is that betrayal? But they sided with Babylon and helped to capture and ultimately decimate Israel. So yes, it was a cry and a prayer of lament that got pretty violent. I got a person to tell me the other day, read this line, your God likes the smell of burning flesh, evil. I said, hey, I too like the smell of burning flesh. No lie, burning flesh smells delicious. It smells like pork, doesn't it? Doesn't burning flesh smell like burning pork? Oh, sorry. Ever hear of meat? Oh, that's true. I do actually adore the smell of burning flesh. God can smell. He has a nose. It's funny. That God who knows all. Wrong nose. Knows. You think that he wouldn't know a smell. Like he created smell. He created smell receptors so that we, as fleshly things, can appreciate good smell. But that doesn't require smell receptors for God to appreciate good smell. Corpse Grinder, you're like the most literalist person. It's kind of hilarious, especially bacon. I know I'm out of bacon. I gotta go to Costco. Kirby is a capital K. Grinder is a little K. Yeah, Grinder, why don't you put actually, Kirby, why don't you put a PFP up? Smell from outside of time and space. You understand? Even a partial omnipresence mean that he's not just he's not just outside of time and space. Why do you keep going back to this? You know the answers to these questions. You're so just representing everything in the absolute worst way possible. And you're basically an atheist or Muslim. Yeah, he is. That still smell, right? It depends if the flesh still has hair on it. Yeah, the smell of burning hair, not quite as pleasant as the smell of burning flesh. The smell of burning flesh, yeah. God literally knows everything, including what your nose knows. This is accurate. Then why it says, why would it when it says burning flesh? Wait, was the person you were talking to a vegan? Is that what grossed them out? Oh, what was that? I saw that was another. Hold on. That was another Instagram thing. Who did I send that to? There was a video of a girl who she was a vegan. She hadn't eaten meat in 10 years. Where did I can't remember who I sent it to. Was it David? Never mind. It's not that important. This is burning flesh. No, the person I was talking to had to concede. They enjoyed the smell of burning flesh too. That's awesome. Yeah, the sweet savor of burning, like, delicious ribeye steak. Yeah, you can't get past it. It is a delicious smell. All right, 50 minutes in. Do we have any other scriptures you guys would like to get into? I can never be vegan. Not bashing on vegans, but it's just not for me. I think I could live on meat and only diet and be happy. It's just hard to do. I mean, I try to maintain my carnivore diet as much as possible, but it's like I haven't gone to Costco. I didn't go to Costco last week, so I didn't stock up, and so it's like I've been stuck eating stuff that my wife makes, and it's like, fine, give me the tortilla. Fine, give me the whatever. Oh, I had a sandwich on Sunday. I had a sandwich with the bread and lettuce and everything. I'll tell you what, though, that stuff, that's gonna stop you in the when you go to evacuate the digested food. You like the smell of meat cooking, not burning. Burnt doesn't smell good either. Well, I don't think that's accurate. I mean, when you're cooking over a barbecue pit, and you burn the sides of the meat, that still smells good. I haven't tried burning like the whole thing all the way through like God does, but hey, if God likes the smell, God likes the smell. It's not disgusting. Lately, I've been making baked potato with bacon and cheese. It's good. Don't tell me about potatoes, please. Hey, March Hare, what's up? It was in the fire, not cooking slowly above it. Okay. Again, this is like a really silly, pedantic argument. Better late than never. That Bible equals mind control dude is something else. I know. I was talking about it earlier. It's like, oh my gosh. When someone is incapable, that's why I sent him the I'm having my son watch some critical thinking lectures right now, and I had them on hand, so I sent him to that guy, and I'm like, you should probably listen to these because you are clearly incapable of understanding what critical thinking actually is with your inability to understand how you lost this argument about 20 times already. And he kept making the same argument. I was like, how many times can we, and in how many ways can we possibly explain to you how your argument is completely baseless? And he just kept repeating it. I'm like, I could go for, oh no, that sounds so good too. They're trying to decide what to do for my birthday, and I'm like, I mean, honestly, I don't know birthdays. I'm not a big birthday guy for me. 54 next Tuesday, though. Theists are not critical thinkers. I believe you'll find that it's the atheists that are not critical thinkers. My best 6 minutes left to go, and we got a new one. I guess starting at 12, we should get a handful of new atheists rolling in here right about now. Welcome, Mavis. This is how it usually works if I start at exactly noon. The sucking off comments over and over. I know. Mavis, wrong is not a good argument. Right on time as the show winds down. I know. They threw animal bodies in a fire. They weren't cooking it. They didn't just throw animal bodies in the fire, and they did cook it. I don't think you're aware of the actual biblical prescription. There is there's both the the part where they do throw it in the fire, and there's a part where they throw it in the pot. And the animals, the larger animals, are always what do you call it? Basically, they're butchered first. Brisket sounds good for birthday food. Then it's me making it again. The priests ate the sacrifices. Right. The turtle dove, they would just throw on whole hog. But yeah, like larger animals, they would butcher basically. Mabel says, just saying nah is also not a good argument. That's a fair point. But you're not. Bring me an argument. Tell me you're the one that's saying that that theists aren't critical thinkers. Show me. Make an argument. You and me, birthday dinner, Tina T. Let's go. Me no like theist. Be atheist. Monkey. Bye-bye. Go visit the Ark in Kentucky for your birthday. Who? Not me. I got too much to do. I am behind. Oh my gosh. I'm supposed to start that graphic novel tomorrow. Do you think Auschwitz smells lovely? Are humans made of meat? Are you going to say just because it's a human? It might have smelled like bacon. Who knows? I wasn't there. Yeah, what type of... That's just corpse grinder. Just trying to throw monkey wrenches and see what sticks. Honestly, Mavis, maybe you can be our new atheist who comes in and actually gives us some good arguments instead of just these really weird derp questions. Yeah. Thank you for pointing out it was a derp question. What God do you believe in and why? I believe in the God of the Bible because through quite a bit of research, I came to the realization that the Bible was actually fulfilled with things like prophecy and medical and even scientific foreknowledge that was unlikely to be known by traveling or nomadic sand people 3,500 years ago. So unlikely in the prophetic sense, so unlikely as to be impossible for it to have been written from the perspective of humankind, and thus led me to the conclusion that either it was written by time travelers, likely time traveling space aliens is how I like to put it, determined to fool the world into being better people by believing in Jesus Christ, or it was authored by he who claimed authorship and God breathed, God himself. So between the two only options I really had for how anyone could write fulfilled accurate prophecy, I went with the God option. And that's why I believe in the Bible, why I believe in the God of the Bible. Furthermore, I then went to seek out claims from other religions and other holy writs that might equal the trustworthiness of the prophecy written in the Bible, and I found none, zero, zilch in any of the other ones. So that is still my dividing line. If you can bring me a holy writ and prove to me that it is divinely inspired, as in it has prophecy written in advance, well, not prophecy, history written in advance, we call it prophecy, then I will take that as an addendum to the biblical text. And but yet it's been 30 years, nothing. Thank you for the question. Kirby says, human flesh is flesh. Sorry to say it smells good when burning. Firefighters will tell you. It is also the reason why. Oh yeah, and Kirby was a firefighter, so take his word. Some get sick knowing. There's a reason why some get sick knowing. No, Mike, I know you're slow, but your question was dumb. Humans have meat. All right, I respond with Kirby's argument. Like I said, not critical thinking. Tell me what about that is not critical. God is undefeated. Yep, Mike, they're like the Fremen, but different. What prophecies are you referring to? Okay. The Bible is replete. It's nearly 1/3 prophecy. The big ones that that really tipped the scale for me, and I'm like, well, there's no way this couldn't be true. The prophecy of Israel becoming a nation again, May 14, 1948, which was written 3,000 years prior to it by Ezekiel, to the day from the point where I believe it was Cyrus ordered the temple to be rebuilt, to the day by count of number of days, May 14th, 1948. It was exact. And I don't think, I know nobody knew that prophecy until about, I think, 30 or 40 years later, because the prophecy had one missing component. The number of days had to be multiplied by 7 to get the exact date. Because the multiplication of 7 is a biblical edict that God says, if you do not do if you don't follow what I say, I will multiply your, I don't think he used the word punishment, but something along those lines, 7-fold. And he says this multiple times in the scripture. So someone was looking at this prophecy and like, this prophecy wasn't fulfilled when it says it was supposed to be fulfilled. And then he was reading scripture and it says, I'll multiply this by 7. So he took that prophecy and he just multiplied it by 7. And again, this was discovered decades after 1948. You can call it a coincidence if you want. I don't think that's being critical. But you just happen to take a 7 and you multiply it by that exact number and you get the exact number of days. That and the prophecy of Tyre. The prophecy of Tyre is so dead accurate that most scholars of modern day try to claim it was written after the fact, but it wasn't. So what is y'all's definition of critical thinking? Denying evidence. I know. Right? Anyways, that's it. We are over an hour. Of course, we have a new good atheist coming in. Mavis, try to make it earlier next time. We do this just about every day. We usually start around 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Otherwise, join the Discord and you can come in and argue all day long if you want. The prophet just forgot that X7 part, LOL. See, you're being disingenuous. Because he made the prophecy of the transgression and the number of days, knowing already that the 7-fold punishment was already part of the parcel. So if he had already added the 7-fold punishment, then you would have to multiply it again by 7, which would be 49 times, which would take you 7 times past where you needed to be. All right, happy birthday to Tina. God bless you all. We'll see you on the next exciting episode. Did somebody drop the Discord link? Someone please drop the Discord link. Thank you very much. And we'll see you all on the next exciting episode of Cross Examinations.